friends! My name is Angie and we have a long weekend ahead of us, which means that we can do anything we want. And I actually have a lot of plans scheduled for this weekend, which is very exciting and very cool. And I figured I could take you along with me when I remember to record. Reading wise, I can tell you that we will be starting a new book. We're going to pick up There Is No Anti-Memetics Division by QNTM and or Quantum. This is a dystopian sci-fi novel about memory and government and surveillance and potentially misinformation. So it is safe to say I actually have no idea what this book is about, but it was a book club pick for this new book club that I'm a part of, and I need to read it so that I can participate fully in book club. This book club is one that I'm really excited for because it is very much like horror, sci-fi, dystopian, surrealism focused, and it is hosted by one of my like semi-local bookstores, which like they are a general bookstore. They sell a little bit of everything, but they do have a focus on horror, sci-fi, dystopian. Really excited to sign up for this, really excited to have the discussion, and ultimately my main motivation is being really excited to befriend the bookstore owner because I think they're very, very cool. So we're gonna pick this up. It's relatively short, so I have high hopes of actually being able to finish it this weekend. And when we do, we're just going to continue reading one of the many books that I have on my currently reads. But today, I still have a little bit of the workday ahead of me. I'm gonna clean up and finish up some stuff like work-wise. Then we're gonna head to the movies, of course. We're gonna go see this movie called Sentimental Value. It is directed by the same person who did The Worst Person in the World, which is a movie I haven't seen yet, but a movie that I very much want to see. And this movie follows a director who is a father and who is doing a movie about his life, ? And he initially wants to have his daughter work on the project. She refuses because they have a very strained, very distant relationship. Then he hires Elle Fanning play his daughter, and then like he's going on the press tour with this person playing his daughter, and we're following the actual daughter like having to deal with that. You know, like she has grown up her entire life with her father not being present, with her father putting his career first, and then having to see him like play father to this person who is supposed to be her. I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to bring this with us because we do tend to show up to the movies early with the intention of getting some reading done before the previews start. And also I haven't had lunch yet. So I think I'm going to indulge in some popcorn today, which I know is not lunch, but it is sustenance. And then maybe if we're feeling a little crazy, we can go to the bookstore next door. I don't have any reason to buy books, and I'm really not in the market to buy books. I don't really know what books are out at the moment, but because I don't know what books are out at the moment, I do like to like organically find out through my bookstore. And that's gonna be the day. Let's look at some B-roll footage now. Guess who's stuck in traffic? And also guess who got a parking violation? I was literally just 3 minutes late to my like parking expiration time, but I'm assuming because of the holidays the parking attendants are like extremely diligent because that's never happened to me before. I did see Sentimental Value and I did enjoy it a lot. Kind of still sitting with it, so I don't know if I'm going to be super articulate and super like profound in this moment. We're following this protagonist and she's like navigating the strained relationship with her father, but it's not just her. Like she has a younger sibling who is seemingly okay. You know, she has seemingly escaped the childhood trauma unharmed. And there's this very beautiful moment between the two where the older sister is like, how did you turn out okay? Like, how am I so fucked up and you're fine? And the younger sister just simply said, because I had you. And although like dad wasn't around and if mom was feeling down, like you were there. You made me feel safe, which I thought was very beautiful and very lovely. You know what? I just escaped the traffic, so let me go park somewhere so I can finish my thought. Now let's chat. And so what was I saying? The thing about this movie is that it's not one of those family dramas that like explodes in a kitchen dinner confrontation kind of way. In fact, I would describe it as a simmering rather than an explosion. And in a simmering kind of way where I'm not fully convinced that everything gets addressed. And I think it's kind of an acceptance of how some things are never going to change. And the reason I say that is because through a series of events, Elle Fanning drops from the movie and the daughter decides to sign on to it. And there's this one final scene that was like critical to the movie, and like it's as the viewer you're able to see this final scene. Once the dad calls cut, she like turns to him and she's still kind of grappling with the emotions of the scene, and she kind of turns to her father and he looks at her and he kind of almost like yearns to be there for her. Like there's this longing for each other in this moment, and yet neither of them make the first move to comfort the other. And they're quite literally standing like 3 feet away from each other and just kind of like awkwardly shuffling, knowing that they want to reach out but not really knowing how. And kind of accepting that this is the extent of their relationship. They have an understanding of one another now, but they're not necessarily there yet to bridge that gap. And in that moment, her nephew walks into the room and they both approach and hug and comfort him, and it's almost as if he's the stand-in for what they want to do with one another. And similarly, growing up, the younger sister was the stand-in for both of them. So I don't really know how to rate this movie in this moment. I think I'm still sitting with it. I think I'm still processing it, but there was a lot that I really liked about it. I have some more thoughts about sentimental value. So I figured I'd jump on here, I'd word vomit for a little bit, then I'll give you like a real update when I actually have other things to share. But last night I was kind of perusing Letterboxd and or different film reviews about this movie. I just wanted to see like what other people were saying, and I was really disappointed to see that people were dismissing and or reducing it to an eldest daughter movie, because while I do think that's part of it, I think there's something deeper in here. And I would argue this is actually a younger daughter movie, because yes, the eldest daughter did take the brunt of the emotional labor as a child. Now as an adult, she's kind of avoiding everything. Like that's one of the main internal conflicts that she has, and it's something that gets called out time and time again. She's avoiding the relationship with her father. She's avoiding commitment and intimacy with others. She's avoiding the death of her mother. She's avoiding any sense of responsibility, and that's rough. And I'm not taking that away from her. But while she's avoiding all of this emotional labor, all of this responsibility, all of these obligations, who's there to pick up all the pieces? The little sister. Because she's the bridge between the sister and the father. She's the one who's organizing their mother's funeral. She's the one who's cleaning out the house. She's the one who's managing this family as well as raising her own. And I think this movie does this in a really interesting way, because while I feel like so much of the emotional labor is being done by the younger sister, she's not the protagonist in this. In the same way that she's working behind the scenes in this family, she is a supporting character in this movie. We are not following her life. We are not privy to all the details. But when we are, when she is front and center, it is so emotionally raw, and I just want to give my flowers to that actor and also to all the youngest siblings in the world, because I don't think we speak enough of how much work it is to be the peacekeeper, to be the fixer-upper, to be picking up all the pieces and to try and like assemble a semi-decent, semi-cordial Thanksgiving dinner, you feel me? And whether that was intentional or not, I really like how that played out and how that depicts this exact relationship that she finds herself in within her family. And yeah, I like how it's not just focused on one sibling or one family member. Like we get so much sauce on Nora, the oldest sister, but also Agnes, and then also the father, and then the house. Because one of my favorite things about this movie that I can't believe I forgot to mention in my previous clip, but granted I was distracted, was the house itself is a character. The movie opens up with an essay that our protagonist writes as a child where she personifies the house. Especially in this case where the house has been in the family for generations. And so while we're dissecting this relationship in present time, we're also learning about all of the lives and all of the histories and all of the relationships that lived within this home. And I think it was a really beautiful way to show how generations past influence present generations, how trauma is passed from one family member to another. And while this is a place of comfort, while this is supposed to be a safe haven, and in a lot of ways it is, it's also very much the source of all of this pain and all of this anguish. It was just really, really beautifully well done. And I think I gave it 4 stars in Letterboxd, but I think I might up it a little bit because now that I'm talking about it, I'm just like, wow, I really fucked with this. So I think that's all I had to say about that. But I swear in the next clip, we will be talking about a book, maybe, probably, hopefully. Unfortunately was not able to finish this book in the time that I allotted for myself. And I'm okay with that for several reasons. The first is that I just didn't have time to read because I was spending time with friends and family. So like, you can't get mad at that. And 2, and this sounds like a flimsy excuse, but like I'm enjoying this so much that I don't want it to end. And in fact, this book is actually quite stressful that like the reason why it's taking me so long to read it is because after like a really big chapter happens, I just need to put it down and like process. We're gonna get into the actual content of the book shortly. Hold your horses. The third reason I'm okay with this failure is because I got an email from the book club and apparently this book is sold out everywhere and the bookstore can't get more copies until December 12th. And they were like, well, it's not fair to have this as our December book if like no one can get access to it. So we're just going to push this off until January, which gives me even more time to finish this book. I mean, I'm not going to push this off and like wait until January to finish it, but I do appreciate having more wiggle room because otherwise I would have needed to finish this book in like 3 days and I don't think that would have been possible for me. But before we get into the actual content of this book, I do want to share with you some of the other things that I did this weekend. Friday, I went to see Wake Up Dead Man, the newest Knives Out movie. Absolutely freaking adored it. So good. So dark, so funny, and I really liked its discussion about faith and religion and leading with love rather than hate. I really loved a lot about this movie. I can't wait to rewatch it. I don't know when it's gonna get uploaded to Netflix, but whenever it does, I know I'm sad. I'm gonna watch it again. We're not gonna talk about Josh O'Connor as a hot priest. That says enough, but just know Josh O'Connor as a hot priest really did something to me, which is something I'm still untangling. Saturday, I went to see a friend and we went to an art cafe. Basically, you go in there and it's like a restaurant and you choose what you want to make. And my friend actually made friendship bracelets for us. Very cute. And I made a little wall sconce. I do want to paint it and like decorate it in some way or another, but I'm really pleased with how this came out. And I think it's going to be really lovely once it's like ready. I've been wanting to make like wall sconces just to have like more candlelight in my home. So I think this is a really great first step. Am I thinking about buying more air dry clay to make an even bigger one? Yes. but I think I'm gonna cool it for now. That was Saturday. Sunday, I did more crafts. I unfortunately don't have it in my hands yet, and I didn't take a really good picture of it either. But me and another friend went to this other like art cafe adjacent kind of place, and we did like glass art. And glass fusing is a lot harder than it looks. And I actually have a few cuts on my hands because like they don't give you gloves there. You're just like straight up using glass with your bare hands. I don't know. And so now here we are. And now you understand why I didn't really have a lot of time to get some reading done. I am pleased to tell you that I'm a little bit over halfway of There Is No Anti-Memetics Division, and I'm freaking obsessed. This book is so good, and it's so like timey-wimey, memory washy kind of stuff that I don't know if I'm gonna do a really good job of explaining it, but God knows I'm gonna try. But basically there's this like worldwide organization whose sole purpose is to like identify, categorize, and potentially put down unknowns. Unknowns can range from like a song that gets in your head forever to a rock that talks to you, and more nefariously, a creature that eats your memories. And so within this organization, there is the Anti-Memetics Division, and they are the ones who are tasked with tracking and putting down the very dangerous unknowns. And throughout this book, you are slowly gleaning that there is this one entity whose whole thing is eating memories. And it's like really tricky because the more you learn about this entity, the more real and powerful he becomes. So you can't learn about him to destroy him, because actually as you learn about him, he becomes more powerful. And then his whole thing is that he kind of spreads like a virus. So he like eats your memories so that the more you learn about him, the more powerful he becomes, but then he eats your memory so that you're starting from step one again. Does that do something for you? A lot of the chapters end in such a way that like we're following a character and they make so much progress in trying to defeat this person, and then it cuts off and then it starts up again. And so I feel like throughout this book we've been kind of following a lot of different characters, but the one character that we've been following from the jump is Quinn, who is the leader of this Anti-Memetics Division. She has been in the game since day one. She has been trying to track this guy down since day one. And it's really interesting to read because you don't know if this guy is killing people off or if her memory is failing her. But there are some instances where she's talking to someone about her team, and in one conversation she's like, yeah, there's only 200 of us, and in another conversation she's like, we only have 175 members in our team. And it's like, did they lose 25 people, or is she losing her memory of who's actually in this with her? And the reason why that gets even more wishy-washier is because in one chapter she's at home and she wakes up to a noise and there's a man in her house, and she calls her team, she calls like emergency services, and she's like, there's a man in my house, I don't know who he is, he says that he lives here, I don't know what's going on. And it turns out it's her husband, and she lost all memory of her husband. Now she's in a situation of like, what do I know? What do I have left? How can I fight this thing if I keep losing things that are seemingly important to me? Are they really that important to me if I can lose them that easily? Like, it's so... And I love it. I have never read anything like this book before. And like, granted, I don't read a lot of sci-fi, so I don't know if this is just like exciting and new to me because I'm not super familiar with sci-fi, or if this is like new and innovative and unique to the sci-fi genre. But this is so... whoa. And so I think we're gonna end the vlog here. Unfortunately, you won't be able to hear my final thoughts. I mean, like, maybe you will, because I'm planning on starting another vlog like relatively soon, and I'm probably most likely gonna continue reading this book. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great day. I hope all of your projects are going well, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.